In today's video, I'm going to go ahead and go through a few of the different components that I have in the notes file for Lessons 3. We're going to talk about the button, various touchables, we're going to talk about alert, and then we will finish by talking about the image component. So for starters, button is a really basic component. It doesn't really have any ability to style, and it requires both a title and an on press. If we click on this, this is going to take you to the React Native documentation, and you'll see when you look at this, we have an Expo snack, which is an example of how you can use the code. And then if we keep on scrolling down, you'll see that we have two required props. That means that if you don't use that prop, the button component won't work. And then there are a couple other props, but really there's not a ton here. All you can really do is change the color, determine whether or not it's disabled, and yeah, it's pretty limited. So for that reason, I typically only use the button when I just want a quick button on the screen. I don't care how it looks. I just want it to be able to do something. So if you look over here in my examples, if I click on Press Me, then that gives me an alert. And yeah, that's about that. Now, in other cases, we have something called a touchable. And what a touchable does is it allows you to make anything on the screen interactable. And so the way that we do that is we are going to wrap this touchable component around something else. And so that makes it so that when we click on or interact with that other item, it is now able to be interacted with, and you have an on-press property. There are three different touchables, and I have all three of them linked here. The two that I use the most are TouchableHightlight and TouchableOpacity. So just to show you the difference between them, this one right here, this orange one in my code, this is a TouchableHightlight. Now, when I click on it, you'll notice that the default turns black when I click on it, which isn't very pretty. And for that reason, we can do what's called the underlay color prop to change the color. So we'll do that in just a minute. And then this touchable opacity is what I have here in the pink. So if I click on that, you can see that the opacity of the button changes slightly. And if you click on these links, you'll get to see additional documentation for those. All right, so let's take a look at how those are used within the code. So we'll see here, this is my index function or index page. That's what we see right here. And just to notice a couple things about this, my overall view is inside of a container. And that is why when you look at my emulator, you'll see that I have this blue rectangle with a little bit of space at the top. That is because my container styles have a padding of 10. So that's why there's this inner gap of 10. If I were to make this padding bigger, say 30, and then save that, now it looks like everything shrunk. That's because I'm making more padding. Remember, padding is like the space between the edge and whatever is inside of it. Kind of like how, if you were to think about this, if I was, it's cold right now in Chicago, if I was wearing a jacket that had a lot of padding, there'd be a lot of space between the outside of the jacket and me. But let's say it's spring and I have a lot less padding. Now I'm going to have a lot less space between the edge. So find a number that you like. Now you'll notice I just used margin top. So that's why I only have a space up here. If I were to change this and make this an overall margin, now I'm going to have that 10 all the way around the outside everywhere. So again, you'll play around with the styles the more you work with your coding. All right, so first I want you to notice that I just have this basic text. That's what I see here that says hi. And if I say hi, lesson 3, now I'll see a little bit more text there. Notice there's no styling on it. Then right here, I have my default button. And this default button has its two required props, title and on press. And my on press is just a basic alert. So when I click on it, I see an alert pop up and my alert is going to alert the text hi. Again, nothing fancy. All right, so let's take a look at our next one here. We have our TouchableHightlight. And the TouchableHightlight is all right in here. And you'll notice that the TouchableHightlight has the text inside of it. So that is telling me what is clickable. Now, one thing that's important to note is that a TouchableHightlight can only have one child element. So if I wanted to have a variety of things that are going to be interactable here, then I would have to put them all inside of a view. I wouldn't be able to have a text and then a text next to it. That wouldn't work. So right now, like I said, this button, when I click on it, is black, which is pretty ugly. You can't even see the button here. And let's say I wanted to make my underlay color, I don't know, yellow. Well, I can use the prop underlay color, and I can just set it equal to color. And now when I click on it, hold on a sec. Did I make a typo? Oh my gosh, you guys. Oy. Yellow. See? There we go. Okay, that's how you know that this is just a one and done video take. All right, so from here, let's say I wanted to adjust how this looks. So you'll notice that I have some rounded edges. I have everything centered within here. Well, my text doesn't have any styling. So if I wanted my text to look different, I have to put styling on my text. And I created just some basic styles here. So this is my button, which is background of orange, 200 by 50, border radius of 10. If I made this border radius a little bit bigger, that would make my button edges more round. And right now I have my contents justified vertically. If I were to get rid of that, it goes up to the top. And I also have them aligned horizontally. And if I get rid of that, it's going to go back to the left. So that's just how I'm basically telling it to arrange whatever is inside of it. And the thing that's inside of it is the text.